you went, on the path to be a sports journalist, or has it always been about sports journalism, sports broadcasting, sports writing?
Yeah, I think my purpose or path has always been clear. As far back as secondary school, I think I was clear in my mind what I was going to be doing. I was a sports prefect in JSS. I was sports prefect in SSS. And so I knew that I was going to be doing something around sports.
Also, specifically, your interest, was it in football?
Well, I mean, I played football. I played second division football, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, up until 2009.
Interesting. Second division.
Yeah, I played division 2 football here in Accra, Medina.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And somewhere along the line, I had to make the decision whether, between school and pursuing a proper career in football.
Okay. So that's you.
Okay, right.
Well, is this from your playing days, or is this after you became a journalist?
No. Yeah, this was after I became a journalist.
Right.
I'd stopped playing actually. This was on a Sunday morning. Keep fit.
Here in Accra?
No, this was in Takoradi actually. That is interesting.
So you played second division
football? I played second division football for Stoke.
This was
in Medina, 2000
was secondary school, after
secondary school.
Okay,
after secondary school. And I mean, I went to Winneba Secondary School.
Okay.
But
you grew up in Accra?
I grew up, yes, in Accra, mostly. I was in Takoradi in my early years.
Okay.
I moved to Tema when I was 10 years old.
Okay.
Attended Dex Preparatory School in Tema Community 8.
Interesting.
And then we moved to Kaswa somewhere along the line, I think the year 2000.
Okay.
And then I completed JSS at Hayes International School. Okay. So I think that the desire to play football was really honed at Hayes International School, because back then we were playing the juvenile league in Kaswa, and it was huge. It was, massive.
Coach football.
Coach football, as they called it then. I remember the clubs then were Polo FC and the Boys. Now the Boys is actually a club that was owned by Abdul Hayati, the senior brother of Ishmael Yati, who now owns Cheetah FC. And then there was Polo. So I attended the same school with Ishmael Yati. Actually played in the same school team as well. But all through school, I had the opportunity to play with very, very good players. In secondary school, the boys from Feyenoord Academy were in my school.
At Winisek? At
Winisek. Philemon Makati, Mahadi Abubakar, Theophilus Apo, Michael Akufu. Name them. We could field an 11th set of Feyenoord Academy players. And we have, I think, about 4 other boys from the Winneba Sports College also. Right. So it was very difficult to get into the team. You really have to be that good to be able to get a look in.
What position were you playing at that point?
I think my strength was in the fact that I had an understanding of the game that a lot of people didn't have, and so all I needed were instructions from the coach, and I could function in a lot of positions. Exactly. So, I played at right back, I played at centre back, I played on the right wing in attack, I played in midfield sometimes. But I mean, it had always been clear what I was going to do. I knew I was going to do something around. So I also played handball, in secondary school as well. I captained my school's first handball team, Winneba Secondary School's first handball team. I made the first Central Regional handball team as well,
All was at Winisek?
Yes, all was at Winisek. I couldn't make the regional football team, but I made the regional handball team. The regional football team was really tough. Exactly. Look, you had Samuel Linku, you had Abeku Kwanzaa, you had Philbo Makazi, you had all of those guys. So it was always going to be difficult. Yeah. So I made the handball team, couldn't make it. And then, we went to the regional games and won in Ho. So my life, has always been about sports. And after secondary school, I knew, that this was my path. And so, and I knew how.
What did you study at Winisek? General Arts?
General Arts, yeah. Okay. Studied history, geography, economics, right. and then the core subjects. I wasn't good with mathematics, and so I dropped elective mathematics.
Tell me about it.
From one first term, first week, elective maths was dropped. I mean, wow. Yeah. I mean, I'm the type who doesn't want to waste time on things that I know, I can't really crack. I want to focus on my strength. Okay. Yeah, there are times where you realize that you need to put in an effort to be able to crack certain things, but I'm very aware of my strength and I play, according to my strength most of the time. So dropped elective mathematics. First term, Form 1, first week, I was done with it. I wasn't going to be wasting any more time with it. But, I did okay. And I remember telling a friend of mine when we completed secondary school and we had written our final papers and we were waiting to go and we're talking, what next? I think a lot of people go to secondary school not really knowing why they are there. And I encountered that problem. I was so focused on my sport, I didn't realize I needed to pass my papers to be able to take the next step in terms of climbing the academic ladder. And I wasn't alone. A lot of people came to that realization when we wrote the last paper. What next? And I remember telling you, I'm going to be working in the media. I was that clear in my mind.
Do you have like any idols, any role models who were sort of pulling you into the space?
A lot of them.
Right.
A lot of them. But the belief came from within. I knew what my strengths were again, and I knew that this is something I wanted to. Of course, I'd grown up watching the almighty Kwabena Ewo on TV. I'd grown
Godfather.
Up, exactly. I'd grown up watching Carl Tufo, Michael Otije, and the likes. And so, and I knew it was something that I could do as well. I admire them. I watched them in the way they analyze stuff, in the way their thought processes and all of that. And I knew it was something that I could do, and it was something that I wanted to do.
Right.
So after secondary school, I spent a year writing remedials because obviously I didn't get all the papers right. Was able to get some of it right. But I think somewhere along the line, I also realized after speaking to people that, look, in this business, you don't need, the paper qualification doesn't really count for much. It's about competence. It's about being able to function on the job. And even at that point, even before I went to school for journalism training, I could write. I wrote pieces for the graphic sports back then, opinion pieces for the graphic sports back then. I remember the first time I had my work published was in 2007. And I go to buy the graphic. I'd sent my material to them. I didn't know whether I was going to publish it or not. And then I bought the graphic sports on a Friday and on a Tuesday, and there it was.
Your byline?
Yeah, and my name was there. And, there was a guy standing behind me. I realized I was smiling. I was like, he wanted to see, he was curious. And I said, my piece, appeared in the paper. I said, he had wanted to be ready. I said, you're good. And I think that moment also contributed to that self-belief that I had. For somebody who didn't know you from anywhere to read your piece and say that, you're good, it meant a lot to me.
Right. And
it motivated me. I couldn't get into GIJ because, again, I didn't get my mathematics paper right.
Okay.
So I decided to write the ICM papers, Institute of Commercial Management.
Okay.
I was fortunate, though. I had people who prepared me for the exams, who understood that they didn't merely have to prepare me for an examination. They needed to prepare me for the job market.
Okay.
Steve Mantia was my lecturer in newspaper reporting. I had Kwame Apel as my lecturer in broadcast journalism, and these two gentlemen were excellent in the way they taught us. And even before I wrote the paper, he would throw me jobs here and there. He would throw me topics to write on here and there, and I think that helped. Kwame Apel was the sort of lecturer that would give you an assignment and he could mark you -3. What it meant was that in your next assignment, if you had a plus, it had to be deducted. Exactly,
Arrears.
And that sort of training really helped because the standards required, it was made clear to you that this is the standard required for you to be able to function, on the job. And it really helped. I realized even after writing the ICM exam, which I passed, by the way, that I was ready for the job market. But I was torn between still pursuing further studies and going back to school, pursuing further studies or finding a job. And then I decided, look, I could learn better on the job than going back to school. So I began looking for opportunities. I was in Tema then. I had gone to do my national service at Konongo. I spent a year at Konongo. And I was that sort of person, I could move anywhere. I could stay anywhere. So spent a whole year. People couldn't believe it. My mom couldn't believe that I could just pack my bags and go to a place where I didn't know anybody and spend a year, but I did. Came back looking for opportunities in Accra. I wasn't getting them. Well, not the opportunities I wanted. I had opportunities. Fiifi Anaman was the managing editor for worldsportscenter.com.
Okay.
Allowed me to write on the Ghana Premier League. So I'd write the previews and the match reports, for his website. But the real opportunities I was looking for, like in a proper media setting, where I could go to work and come every day, I wasn't getting those opportunities.
And that's Yao Fiifi Anaman?
Yes, so that was me and Yao. And this was in Cape Coast when we were doing a job for Super Sports.
Okay.
Yeah, I think 3 or so years ago.
Okay.
And then, so I wrote about a year for worldsportscenter.com and decided to move to Takoradi.
Okay.
Because I wasn't getting the opportunities. The first job I got
Takoradi because you grew up there?
Yes, because I knew that my brother was there and all of that. The first job I got in Takoradi was an online journalist job. Okay. And when I attended the interview, I think that they realized that I was a sports journalist. Okay. But I made them understand that I could function also as any kind of journalist that they needed.
Politics,
exactly. And so they hired me. I worked there for nearly 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and then somewhere along the line I had to move on. But I realized that I was being pulled gradually towards radio. I'd never done radio before.
But have you always, or had you always fancied broadcasting?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. You see, I was made to understand very early by one of my lecturers, Kwame Apel, that look, if you want to be a very good broadcast journalist, you have to start from writing. Right. Writing gives you that foundation, gives you that muscle that you need to function.
I agree. Actually, I agree. Somebody once told me that.
Yeah. Exactly. So, I wasn't in a rush to enter the broadcast field. I was very relaxed. I wanted to write as much as I could. And then, I wrote for that website, gritlane.com.
Okay.
And then I had to move on. My first stint on radio was actually on a Tree network. Oh. Yes.
In Takoradi?
In Takoradi. So I delivered as best as I could. And fortunately for me...
How good is your Tree compared to, say, Fanti?
I think they're on the same level.
Okay.
I think they're on the same level.
So you were able to handle
Yeah, I was able to handle it. I confuse people a bit because I was constantly switching between Fanti and Tree,
Can you imagine?
But I got a job done. Fortunately for me, they had one program on Monday night that was English. Mm-hmm. So I got on that program and I realized I was in my comfort zone. Okay. I did it a few times. I think there were about 4 of us, about 2 other guys from Takoradi Polytechnic who were also coming on the program. Okay. And at some point, they wanted to hire one person. So one of the guys who was at Takoradi Polytechnic told me, look, you're very good with English. Why don't you try Radio Max? I'd never even thought of it. So on my way from the Radio Silver, I dropped that Radio Max and just walked straight to the reception. Said I was looking for the programs manager. I didn't know him. Do you know him? I said no. You have an appointment? I said no. He said wait. So I brought the programs manager, Joseph Kumi. And I told him, look, I'm a sports journalist. I'm looking for a job. He says, okay, we're also looking for a sports journalist.
Just like that?
Yeah, just like that. What is interesting is that by then I had attended an interview at a TV station, I don't want to mention it, a TV station here in Accra. Oh. For an online journalist.
Okay.
So when I went to Radio Max and they told me they're looking for a sports journalist, they asked me to bring my CV. I told them I also write and all of it. They told me they wanted to see a sample of the stuff that I'd written. I sent my CV plus the works that I'd done online. And then I sent it in the morning. By midday, they gave me a call, told me to meet the HR the following day. Wow. I met the HR the following day. And within 5 minutes, I was done with negotiating with them, and I think it was a Thursday, I was supposed to start work on a Monday. And, I couldn't believe how quickly things, happened. One day I started a job, never really done radio as a lead person. I mean, at Radio Silver, I was there for barely 3 months.
Right.
And so, I mean, I was a novice. I didn't know anything. I expected that somebody was going to be holding my hand and guiding me through radio. So...
You didn't get that?
No. I was just thrown into the deep.
Were you the only sports journalist at that point?
Then, okay, so there was one person there who was doing the sports. They weren't heavy on sports. I think they were planning on going heavy on sports. That was why they hired me.
Okay.
So when I came in, I think 2 weeks later or a month later, that person left. So I was the only sports person then. And then, I drew up a synopsis for a program, a 1-hour program. I'm supposed to go present the program. I know nothing about, presenting a program on radio. Nobody's telling me how to go about it. Programs manager holds my hand. We go to the studio and he simply says, there's a console, there's your microphone line, this for the guests, this is for your liners and your sick tune and all of that, and list me there. And I'm looking at a big studio, I'm looking at the console in front of me.
You're shivering?
And I'm shivering, naturally.
Sweating?
No, because I was in an air conditioned room, fortunately. And I have to tell myself that, look, calm down, you can do this. Now, guess what? I played a sick tune and, bring down the volume and I'm talking. So I've introduced a program and I'm getting into my groove, and the programs manager just pumps into the studio and presses a knob on the console. Apparently my microphone was not on. Whoa. I had done a whole introduction on radio and it was dead air. Nobody had heard me say anything.
And you thought you were killing it?
And I thought I was killing it, So he comes in and turns on my microphone and tells me, you need to turn this knob on. And he leaves me there. And, it went on and I made my mistakes. What was great about Radio Max was that even though they expected very high standards, they allowed you to make your mistakes and learn. They don't dampen your spirits. They encourage you. They push you as well as they could. Give you all the resources that you need, but also make you aware that, look,
right,
this business is laden with challenges, right, and your ability to scale those challenges is what is going to make you ultimately. So, you have to buckle up and face the challenges when they come. So, somewhere along the line, I'm joined by my colleague Victor Achutamaklo, and the two of us gradually raise Radio Max Sports, to a certain level gradually. And then, suddenly I realized I'm there for 2 years and, I've become quite good at it.
Right. After 2 years? After
2 years, it took me that long to really. And what was encouraging was that even though the progress was slow, I could see myself progress. So I was relaxed about it. So long as I could see myself progress, I didn't need to put pressure. No, there was nobody putting pressure on me anyway. I had a group of people, especially my CEO, who really believed in me, was prepared to, push me as far as he could. So myself and Achutamaklo, made things tick for Radio Max Sports. We do that for about 3 years, and one day there's a boardroom issue.
Wow.
And Radio Max has to be decoupled from the Focus One group. Long story short, Achu moves with Radio Max, I stay with Focus One. We had 2 stations then. So the Focus One group was made up of, media group was made up of 3 radio stations. Radio Max, Spice FM, Beach FM. Spice FM, Beach FM were 3 networks. So when Radio Max was decoupled, it was decided that they would convert Beach FM into an English network.
Okay.
So, I was supposed to lead with sports,
right,
to bring it up to the level that, and I fancied the challenge. Also because I trusted the people that I'd worked with at Beach FM. They were the people who had shown the most belief in my abilities and had given me the opportunities and pushed me. It was time to keep faith with them. And I think it's key. I think that in our line of business, you need to show gratitude when it becomes necessary. I think it applies to every facet of life as well. You need to return the favors that people, hand you in your time of need. They gave me an opportunity. They gave me the resources. They allowed me to make my mistake. They allowed me to learn on my own, at my own pace. And it was time to repay that faith. So I stayed. And then worked at Beach FM. And between decoupling of Radio Max from the Focus One Media Group and starting at Beach FM was a point where family came in.
Okay.
You know, met my wife, got married, had a baby, and my wife gets transferred to Accra.
Wow.
You know, just when I started with Beach FM, she gets transferred. I think it was about 9 or 10 months into my stint with Beach FM as an English network. She gets transferred. And I think everybody knew then that my path from then on led to Accra, because once my wife had been transferred, she works with Total Petroleum. She had been transferred to the head office, and I had a baby. My wife was pregnant, and naturally there will be that inkling to be with your wife and support her. So I kept working. I mean, I had to stay focused and keep doing my job. And that period, the amount of growth that I achieved in that period, also because I was observing the people that I felt were leaders in the industry,
Right.
and the things they were doing, and I wanted to do those things. And there were times I come to Accra and I go to some of these people. I go to the office and sit down and have a 1-hour conversation, what they are doing, how they are doing it, how do I do it. I want to do those things in Takoradi.
You're deliberately learning.
Exactly, you know. And I come, you know, pack as much knowledge as I can, go to Takoradi and implement it. And I realized the impact that it was making, you know, as far as my career was concerned. In between, I had the opportunity of being on Super Sport as one of the analysts for the Ghana Premier. That's why I reconnected with Yao, you know, at Cape Coast. I did stuff at Cape Coast, at Takoradi, at Takwa, and other places. That was also, you know, another level of learning and the platform exposure as well. Had the opportunity of being on GH1 with Nathan Kwa when he was doing that Monday night sports the game,
yes,
you know.
Originally hosted by Sami Batel.
Absolutely. So, I mean, there were opportunities in there somewhere along the line as well. So, over time, I realized that I had made contacts within Accra, even though I was based in Takoradi. I'd made a lot of contacts within Accra because I'd been on the game. I'd worked with guys from Accra on Super Sport. I'd been to Accra to do something. And I'd made a lot of contact. People knew me even though I was based in Takoradi, which is quite difficult. In this line of business, if you are outside Accra, look,
it's difficult for
you to be known.
I can imagine.
Exactly. But, you know, I come to Accra, there's a function, maybe I go to the stadium to cover again, and I realize that I know a lot of people who are actually working in Accra, even though I'm working in Takoradi, which was, you know, good. And then another year at Beach FM, raised the sport to a very good level, and then I get the opportunity to move to Accra. Finally, in between the challenges, the mental battle that I had to deal with.
Because your wife had moved away.
Because my wife had moved. You have a young kid. You come visiting, you know, over the weekend. You're going and he's all tears and everybody is gloomy and the effect it has on you. I go to work on a Monday and I'm so down. It was very, very difficult. It was a very difficult period. Sometimes you are in Takoradi and your wife is sick.
That's you and your wife on our screen?
Yeah, that's my wife. She's my pillar. They say behind every successful man is a woman. But in my case, I put my wife ahead of me because she pulls me along.
Right.
You know, I think that a lot of what I've been able to achieve is thanks to her. I mean, I don't know if I have my abilities and all of that. But she saw things in my future that I didn't even see. Probably because I didn't believe in myself that much.
I actually see you getting emotional.
Yeah. When I talk about it, I get emotional because all the things that are happening, she predicted it. She pushed me. You are that good. You don't have to be in Takoradi. I told her, look, the opportunities are not coming. She said, it's push. They will come. There were moments where it was turning into an argument because I felt she was giving me too much pressure. And then when she got transferred, she was sad though, but I think that deep down she knew that
it would push you.
It was going to push me. So it was all well and good. And so, I mean...
And here you are, multimedia group, one of Joy Sports' prime anchors, writers, broadcasters.
Exactly. You know, and so a lot of what I've been able to achieve is just because of my wife. I can't thank her enough. Every opportunity I get, I try to make the world understand that.
That's you on our screen?
So this was what? or 3 months ago or something. Yeah. You guys did your research.
I think the moral of the story is that find a wife.
Maybe.
And let her push you. Find a good wife. And let her push you. Wow. I could feel just the sheer emotion when you were talking about her and how much of an influence she's been in your life.
It's been a difficult period and she's been very, very strong. I mean, I draw a lot of my strength from her. Right. You know, she's a very strong woman and I'm happy to have her be in front of me because she's strong enough to drag me along. And I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with
Andoh, that. You are getting a lot of dabs on here on Sports Xtra.
And she's still pushing me, you know. She's still pushing me. I also try to push her because I know that when she takes a step, I'm going to take another step. And so I'm very, very aware of that, exactly. And I'm trying to push her and she's dragging me along. It's been okay. But the challenges have been many and I've been able to survive a lot of them because of her.
You're still surviving.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Hans Mensah Andoh. He is a journalist, a broadcast journalist, also a writer at the multimedia groups. Joy Sports, to be specific. Now, just before we sign out, you do a show, a TV show these days. You
Absolutely.
also have you do radio shows as well. So quickly on that.
So Sundays, I'm on Joy FM on Sundays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Right.
On the Sports Arena, the APL Club. And then on weekdays, Fun Zone and the Football Show, Monday to Friday, 10:30 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Late night, huh?
Yeah, late night. But I mean, it's exciting.
We are making it work.
Exactly. And I'm also heavy on boxing, as you know.
Yep. One of the best boxing writers, analysts you can find.
I had to learn that also very early because, look, I think football is easy. Everybody has an opinion about football. And so what really set me apart from other sports journalists is the fact that I'm able to, you know, write deeply about boxing.
With authority.
With authority. I remember, you know, Godfred Akotobuafo is one of the people, the go-to people when it comes to boxing. I remember writing a piece and
Godfred is one of the go-to people about everything.
Exactly. Tweeted it and was impressed. And it was one of those moments where I realized, okay, you know the thing about not having enough self-belief. Sometimes somebody has to prompt you. When I told you about the piece I wrote in the Graphic Sports and somebody had to tell me, you're good. I had to write a boxing piece and Godfred had to tell me that this is good stuff. And I realized that year I wrote more than I'd ever written. Because of that particular comment.
That part on the back.
You always need people to really push you and make you realize just how good you have been. Fortunate, met a whole lot of them. Special mention to Mr. Kwame Edumanti, my former CEO at Focus One Media. They've been massive. And then the general manager, Kojo Amakwinzole as well, and my wife.
You need people to push you. Hans Mensah Andoh, it's been a pleasure talking to you right here on the Storytellers Story series. What an episode it has been, brimming with inspiration. Thank you for joining us. We are back same time tomorrow night, 7:30 to 8 p.m. My name is Fiifi Anaman. Until I see you again, it's good night and it's God bless.